It's time for the Lovable Me Show. Based on the award-winning book series, I Am a Lovable Me. Get ready to have some fun learning with Lovable, our resident enlightening bug. Are you ready? Close your eyes and let's count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Now open them. Here we go.
Hello and welcome to the Lovable Me Show. I'm Sharon Pancina, your host and the author of the award-winning I Am a Lovable Me books for children. To kick things off on this show today, we'll start our weekly show with our weekly video vlog message. And today's short vlog is about the benefits of teaching your children to exercise. Make sure you stick around after the short video plays because I have a special guest today and she's going to share some great tips to introduce your child to the practice of yoga. So don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.
Welcome to the Lovable Me weekly vlog where you will find valuable tools and enlightenment to support your child's self-confidence and self-esteem. The reason I exercise is for the quality of life I enjoy. Kenneth H. Cooper. Teaching and modeling for your child that exercise is not only a fun part of life, but is also good for you is one of the most important lessons you can bestow upon them. Exercising with your child provides a fantastic opportunity to establish a great sense of camaraderie, companionship, and a time for bonding. With over a third of our youth diagnosed as overweight or obese, and less than 25% getting 60 minutes of daily physical activity, it is vital that we teach and encourage our kids to stay active. Here are some benefits for your child. Children who are active 60 minutes per day demonstrate lower rates of obesity. Greater rates of activity in children have been associated with higher test scores in reading and math. Frequent physical activity has been associated with improved behavior in the classroom and beyond. Aerobic activity has been shown to increase the size of essential brain structures and number of neural connections. Frequent activities requiring a high degree of balance and coordination have been associated with improved emotional response. Frequent exercise decreases symptoms of depression and anxiety in children. Regular exercise with children promotes success with regard to health and self-esteem. By helping your child become an active kid, you are paving the way for them to become an active adult. And don't forget to check out our Lovable Me books in Apple iBooks, Amazon Kindle books, and Google Play books.
Welcome back, everyone. Look, when it comes to your kids, loving them, supporting them, and showing up for them by being present and focused is perhaps the single most important thing you can do. But there's always lots more to do as a parent. No one ever said parenting is easy. Well, today, my special guest, Sarah Weiss, founder of Go-Go Yoga for Kids, is here today to help us navigate getting our kids involved in the fun and healthy practice of yoga. She's the best-selling author of Go-Go Yoga for Kids, a complete guide for using yoga with kids, and Go-Go Yoga for Kids, yoga lessons for children. She holds a master's degree in education as well as a bachelor's degree in both early childhood and elementary education. Her experience as an elementary school teacher and a certified yoga instructor allow her to introduce children to yoga in the most engaging and child-friendly ways. Sarah, welcome to the show. It's great to have you here.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Sharon. I am so excited to be here. We are going to have a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm so looking forward to it. I have a number of questions for you, so I want to jump right in because the show is generally not long enough to cover everything. And since we want all good things for our kids, I'd like to start out by asking you to educate us on the benefits that children receive in practicing yoga. If you can tell us some of those things, we'd love to hear it.
Oh, yes, absolutely, Sharon. Well, let me begin by giving just a little bit of background about what even brought me into this whole world of yoga for children. So there are kind of three words that describe me, and that would be kids and teaching and yoga. And ever since I was a little girl, I knew I wanted to be a teacher. My mom stayed home with us when we were young, and she babysat kids for a supplemental income. And I loved that for many reasons, because those kids that came to our house, those became my little students in my makeshift classroom. So I would make homemade worksheets and had so much fun checking their papers and putting encouraging comments. We'd go outside where I'd organize them into little PE games and outdoor activities. And I just love that. I look back on that and I see how that was kind of the stepping stones into what I'm doing now. I went to the University of Northern Iowa, and I did graduate with 2 majors in elementary education and early childhood, and then did continue on with my master's degree. Now that's, I've been actually teaching in the classroom for 20 years, and that's all been with the same district in a variety of elementary levels, kindergarten through 5th grade. So I have seen a wide variety of kids and have really seen how to best teach them, best serve them. So that was kind of the kids and teaching. And the yoga part didn't really enter my life until getting married and having kids of my own. Now, I look back on those years, and I was burning the candle at both ends, basically. I was mom of 3 young kids. To kind of have a stress relief, I trained and ran a lot of triathlons and marathons. So early in the morning, I would be biking and swimming and running. And then I would try to be a superstar teacher at school, and then this present and wonderful mom, in the evening. And it was just a lot. My hormones were out of whack. I wasn't sleeping. I just was putting way too much. So I knew something had to give. And what finally happened was during a half marathon race. I'll never forget this. I felt this sharp pain in my hip, finished the race, and made an appointment with a doctor and found out that it was a labral tear. And that was a turning point right there. The doctor said I could have hip surgery, in my early 30s, or I could make a change. And I chose change. And that was how I discovered yoga. Because before then, yoga was not a workout. It was if I wasn't sweating and out of breath, and it didn't really count. And boy, was I ever wrong. I walked into my first yoga class at my local gym, and immediately my mind calmed, my body began to heal. I went to this Sunday night yoga class, religiously for years and years. And I had so much fun coming home then after my class and showing my own kids what I was learning. We'd go into the living room and we would practice all these poses, and we would laugh and we'd fall down. And I look back on that, and that was just amazing, just introducing my own kids to that. And so I thought, I need to introduce other kids to this, because I was with kids all the time with teaching. And I knew that it could not be in the same way that adults do yoga. I would go to my yoga class and it would be an hour long breathing vinyasa flow, but just from my background with kids, I knew it had to be different. And that is what led to Go Yoga for Kids. Mm-hmm. And the teacher in me created lesson plans. So I took the things that kids are interested in. We were superheroes. We were diving to the bottom of the ocean. We went on jungle adventures. We were doing all these things, learning the same yoga poses that adults were, but we were doing them in kid-friendly, energetic ways. I took the breath work and the breathing exercises and made those into kid-friendly ways as well. And that's what led to the publishing of my 2 books, Go Yoga for Kids, and yoga pose flashcards to help provide a visual for kids, And then that led to an app, a kids yoga app, and also a teacher training that I have online that I have now certified over 4,500 teachers around the world that they can go now and introduce yoga to kids. So I'm so excited to share some of the things that I have learned and things that I know for sure work for kids.
Yeah, that's great. It sounds like, a journey for you that evolved through a lot of your own experiential, your experience as a teacher, the injury, and obviously a level of creativity and a desire to work with kids and have fun doing it. I would imagine that teaching yoga to kids is a lot different than teaching it to adults. And I'd like to get a little more insight on, what you think is the appropriate or best age to introduce kids to yoga. And I'm also under the belief that, and you just mentioned it to yourself, that you just mentioned it a few moments ago, that kids, you've got to really engage them because their attention span is so short.
Mm-hmm.
So it has to be a fun, playful experience, more so than, I want to increase flexibility and get my body in shape, et cetera, that, adult might be more inclined to be focused on. So if you can tell us a little bit about, when it's best to get your child involved in the yoga practice, to introduce them to that, and how you go about teaching them that differs from teaching adults.
Yes, I would love to talk about this. It's one of my favorite things. So thank you, Sharon. So yoga it's a lifelong journey. And I love that because for kids, it's not something that's ever you get perfect at. It's not ever perfected. You never master yoga. And I tell the kids, of all ages, and I'm still learning and growing and trying new things. And it's good for them. It just takes the pressure off and it does bring in that playful kind of attitude. So you can begin yoga at any time. I have toddlers and preschoolers and school-age kids and teens and tweens. And you're right, Sharon, they do all need different things because they are different learners than adults. So with the toddlers and the preschoolers, we're bringing in puppets. We're using a lot of props, a lot of stories with movement. With the school age, they love working together. We'll do challenges and partner poses. And then those teens and tweens, that is a special age group all on its own because they are not yet children, not yet adults, but they still, it's so important, yoga for their growing bodies. It's important for all ages. So I do want to touch on the benefits of yoga for a little bit with kids because we know, we've heard as adults, the research just keeps coming out about the benefits of yoga, and it's really becoming more prevalent now to hear about the benefits of yoga for children. And as you mentioned, the physical part, of course, the strength and the flexibility. When we're holding the poses, we'll talk about, like plank pose, what muscles in your body are working. You feel your arms are working, your legs are working, and you're working every muscle. And down dog, what do you feel? So they're feeling that strength, they're feeling that flexibility. When I was doing research for my books, I found an alarming fact that your balance and your flexibility decrease after age 7. And that's really scary, isn't it? After age 7. So what I have learned though, is that you don't need to do yoga 24/7, to have your balance and your flexibility, but just by practicing a few poses and a few exercises, you can maintain that flexibility and balance. I'm sure you can think about those little kids that can twist themselves into all kinds of shapes and do that. And then as adults, we do lose that, but it doesn't have to be that way. I am more flexible now than I was when I was running my triathlons and when I was in that shape. I'm definitely more flexible. And it's not because I do yoga all the time. It's just by knowing a few poses to do. So of course we have that physical benefit for kids and adults, but also the mental benefit is huge. As you mentioned, that our world is different than it was 5, 10, 15 years ago. Kids now have that instant gratification with their video games, their tablets. They push a button, something happens. They are just constantly just entertained. And that is, it's harder then for them to learn how to be patient and be still and be in the moment. And so with yoga, you're away from all those screens, which is wonderful. And they're working on trying to hold this balance pose, hold tree pose, or hold airplane pose. And they are focusing on that. They're focusing on how their body feels when they do these poses. So they are more in the moment. So for sure, they're getting that mental and the physical benefits of yoga.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Yeah, I while you were talking and I was listening to you, I was thinking there's got to be, a portion of the audience that, that isn't engaged in the practice of yoga and maybe never tried it before and, thinks about doing it and wants to do it. Is there, and you talked about flexibility and all the other benefits that go along with the practice of yoga. If you were to get someone started who's a little bit, hesitant and maybe thinks, they're just not ready to put the time, effort, and energy into it, is there a minimum time frame that if they would, when I was practicing as a hypnotherapist and I wanted to motivate my clients, I would always have them, while I was working that with them, commit to a lesser time frame and then sort of build on that. Because, if I ask them to go out for a walk each day and just go down the block a couple of blocks and then they increase it every day, that type of thing, they're more inclined to do it, rather than put it off because it's not such a big deal. And once you get your sneakers on and you're out there, somehow you just keep going even further. So is there a time that you would recommend that you'll still get some good benefit if you practice some poses, maybe, 5, 10, 15 minutes a day?
Yes. Oh, yeah. You are exactly right. It does not need to be this hour-long practice in your Lululemon pants and you're looking good. It does not need to be that way at all, at all. And for adults and kids, it's fun with my products, kind of seeing that the adults are doing it with the kids, like with my little kids yoga challenge postcards. I geared them for kids initially, but then I've had several adults who are practicing the poses as well. And, you have your cat pose. Uh-huh. And what's great about it is at the bottom, there are starred levels. So that would be like a level 1. That would be a good introductory. You're moving into cow pose and it goes all the way to level 5. So, adults and kids can kind of work through the 40 different poses and practice those. You don't need to be in some fancy gym or studio to do yoga. So that is, that's exactly right. And it is just a few poses. It doesn't need to be a long, hot yoga affair at all.
Yeah, and I think that the fact that, for anyone who's, a little on the fence or hesitating, doing those simple poses that the kids are doing has got to be a whole lot easier and,
You're right.
to sort of just kind of get started with it. Plus, we also want to remind parents and caregivers and teachers that you're modeling the behavior that you're seeking, your children to adopt. So it has a twofold, benefit. So did we cover, the age that you generally recommend? I don't know how early on we can get started with the kids.
Yes. So I know they have mommy and me yoga, different places. The ages that generally you can really start with them kids kind of doing it more on their own would be that toddler and preschool age. And if it's okay, Sharon, I would love to show a few little things that I have that helps get those kids engaged at that age level, because their attention spans, as we know, are short. And I know you have a lot of parents and teachers who watch this, so I think that might be good. All right. So I use a lot of props with that preschool age group. So right now we are using Easter eggs as our little prop. I've got Easter basket, and inside I have a different yoga pose. And so, for example, that one is Easter basket. And so then with the kids, we work on Easter basket becomes boat pose. And so we work on that. And usually with kids, I will only introduce, depending on the age, 3 or 4 different poses at time. They don't need to have half a dozen, 20 different poses. 3 or 4, I like to begin my classes with a breathing exercise. It could be something with preschool age. We'll stick with that. Would be, they love birthday candle breath. So they make a little candle with their fingers, and it's all about just becoming aware of your breath is what it is. And this is something that, parents can teach their kids at home. It's great for calming if they're nervous about something. So you breathe in and then you breathe out and they blow out the candle on there. And the kids love that. They love that. If you tell kids, oh, just breathe, they're not, it's too abstract for them.
Right.
By doing little things like birthday candle breath or balloon breathing, where you're blowing up a balloon as you're breathing in, blowing up a balloon, and then breathing out and letting that balloon go. So we're kind of introducing in those fun little ways. So in my kids' yoga classes, we start with that, a few breathing exercises. And then I do some kind of active movement with them, some kind of song, a silly little song, a freeze dance type thing, because we know those kids like to move for sure. School age kids, they need to move. They're sitting in their classes and their desks all day long. So we'll do our breathing poses, we'll do our breathing exercises, our active movement, and then we'll kind of get into the yoga poses. And I like to make mine theme related. So let's say if we were going to do an ocean theme, then the poses we work on might be dolphin pose or shark pose, jellyfish, all of those. Kids love that. They love that. So, and it helps them remember it too when you put it with a theme. So this is a big part of my lesson plans in my books, is having them be theme related. And then after we learn the poses, then we practice them with a yoga game. So for example, a yoga game that kids love is something called musical mats. And that's when they take their little yoga mats, or towel, it doesn't have to be a mat. I've taught plenty of classes where the kids have just used beach towels in a circle, and you play some music. It's similar to musical chairs. They go around their yoga mats, and then when the music stops, they freeze into one of those yoga poses they learned. So they freeze into dolphin pose or shark pose. And they love this, and they're practicing the poses, and they don't even realize they're practicing the poses because they're just
it sounds like something that you would have done in elementary school.
I know. Yes, exactly. Yes, they're getting that movement in. They're getting that flexibility with the poses. They're getting the strength. It's just a win-win all around. And then after that, if I was doing a class with kids, then I would do some kind of challenge pose. So we would work on tree pose, or we might do a partner pose. The kids love those. And then, of course, in all yoga classes, similar to adults, we do end with that stillness and that shavasana. So I'll bring in some kind of mindfulness exercise. And then the kids, they actually share and love just lying there and not doing anything. It's just so funny because they know that they have worked their body hard. They have had a lot of fun, and they're ready to just sit back, and we play some calming music, some nature sounds. And they often talk about how they love that. And then I will bring them out of that, and we'll do a few calming breaths together, and they just look so peaceful and so relaxed. It's really fun.
That's something that I think we could all relate to, because I think anyone who has gone to a yoga class, that may be one of our favorite parts of the class itself, is at the end, and just, resting back and, going internal and just regrouping. I'm a big advocate when it comes to teaching kids about breathing, because it's really an amazing self-empowerment tool that we already naturally possess that has huge benefits, both from the health standpoint as well as, it effectively reducing and managing stress. So that's a big part of the yoga practice. And it's, one of the most powerful tools, I think. You talk about mindfulness, and that seems to be a really broad topic. When you hear the word, mindful, what does that mean exactly? And what are some of the ways that parents and caregivers can implement the mindful practice with their kids at home?
Yes. Oh, that's a great question, Sharon. And you're right. That is a big buzzword, that mindfulness topic right now, and having that mindful behavior. And so something that parents and caregivers can do right now is, first of all, modeling it. This is big, put the phone down, be in tune with your child. It doesn't mean you need to be completely focused all the time, but when they are talking to you, engaging with you, just be present, be mindful. Even with my kids now, we are in their school age and teenagers, and we talk about the dinner table. Of course, no phones. We are mindful about what we're eating. We're not just sitting there shoveling it in. And a little mindful exercise that does not have to do with breath, but has focusing on positive things, is something as simple as what we call 3 good things. And so have your child, when they come home from an activity or home from school or at the end of the day at nighttime, what are 3 good things that happened today? Sometimes it's easy for people to just kind of delve into the negative, and this happened and that happened. But instead, the 3 good things, these simple little things, and that just kind of it shifts their mindset a little bit. So that's definitely an easy exercise of mindfulness that parents can do with kids.
Well, I love that. I really love that one. We're unfortunately running a little short on time. It went so fast. I can't believe it. Sarah, I want to thank you so much for sharing your passion and your knowledge with the Lovable Me audience. And it was, a real pleasure having you here. If you, before we say goodbye, if you want to give your information out, your website, however the audience can reach you if they want to find out more, that would be terrific.
Okay, great. Thank you, Sharon. It's been so much fun. I could definitely a passion. I could talk about this all the time. So I do have a little gift for your viewers if they're interested. They've been very popular, and it's free, and it's our kids yoga bingo cards. So this is another activity that caregivers and parents, babysitters can do at home with their kids. And so if you go to gogoyogakids.com /bingo, BINGO, you can find 6 full color bingo cards, and there's poses on there. So that is a fun activity where the kids can learn lots of yoga poses and practice them, and you get that family time in the same. So that's gogoyogakids.com /bingo. And then also I'm on all the social media at Go Yoga Kids on Facebook and Instagram and Pinterest and YouTube and all that.
Yep, we're all there with you, so that's a good thing. Well, I thank you again so much, and I like to leave everyone with another way they can support their kids early on by providing them with tools that build confidence and resilience, by reading quality books with them to help reinforce healthy, mindful habits that will serve them throughout their entire lives. Please be sure to check out all the I Am a Lovable Me books today by clicking on the link at the very end of this video. They're available in hardcover as well as audio iBooks. And remember, you'll never miss any of our great shows by liking us on Facebook, or subscribing to us on YouTube, or following us on Periscope. And if you have a topic you think parents and caregivers want to hear about and would like to be a guest on my show, please message me on Facebook. I'm your host, Sharon Pancina, and I'll be back next week with some more great self-empowerment tips. Thank you all for joining in, and be sure to have a fantastic day.
Thank you for watching The Lovable Me Show. Also, if you have any questions for Lovable, go ahead and ask away. Don't forget to visit us next week, right here in the Facebook bunker.